I'm EZRAH, here to walk you through today's burning issues and the biggest stories. Paula Mayor Jennifer Cruz said that her town has sustained 130 million pesos in damages from the recent massive oil spill. On February 28, a tanker MT Princess Empress capsized off the coast of Oriental Mindoro, spilling 800,000 liters of industrial fuel onto the sea. President Marcos recently visited the town of Pola, where he ordered a whole of nation approach in containing the oil spill, as well as assisting fishing communities who were affected. Thousands of residents were affected, as well as their livelihood. Here to share her insight is Nature Conservation Haribon Foundation Chief Operating Officer, Miss Anna Varona. Good afternoon, ma'am. Welcome to Manila Times. So the Philippine Coast Guard immediately tried to contain the oil spill. So what they tried to do was the tanker that sunk. They tried to recover the tanker on their own with the help of a lot of other governments outside the country. So what are the long-term effects of the oil spill to marine biodiversity?
Well, the long-term effects are immeasurable because as it is now, di ba, February 28, that's when it sank. That's 800 tons, correct? Di ba? It sank to 400 meters deep. And the effects of the oil spill is elevating. As the weeks go by, you're hearing more effects of the oil spill. So it affects the full spectrum of marine environment, um, from the deep sea to the microorganisms, because they are the ones that get affected the most, and it kind of dominoes from there also pagdating sa ecosystem. No, kasi those phytoorganisms, they're the ones that get eaten by our fish. So when those die, the fish have nothing to eat. The fish also will diminish in population, which means that we will also have less income for fisher folk. And if ever we're going to eat fish, they could be contaminated by oil. So people will get sick, diba? And then the water. Aside from that, the water quality also gets really toxic because the oil spill is still there. You don't know how far it's gone. So right now it's spreading. The last that I heard, it's already spread to Tingloy. There are already signs of oil or the oil spill there. People are coming in with their bangkas, tapos sa ilalim ng bangka nila may langis. When they get out of the bangka, their feet have spots of oil on it. And that's another marine protected area. Marine protected areas, I think that were affected were at least 20. And Pola is one of the critical biodiversity areas that Haribon was involved in during 2016. In fact, it's funny because we were just talking to them about replanting mangroves in that area, and then this happened. So yes, the effect is immeasurable, and it will keep growing and growing for as long as we do not mitigate or find ways to prevent this from happening again.
I understood what you said earlier, it has massive effects, And I remember with my interview with Paula Mayor Jennifer Cruz, she said that the oil spill had actually entered their river system. Three of their rivers had actually been affected, as well as their mangroves. And they said they were focusing on long-term livelihood because fishing may not be an option a few months from now because, as you said, it may be contaminated. So should is Pola or Oriental Mindoro should are is Oriental Mindoro should be the one, are they the only ones who should be worried about not fishing?
Oh,
Or
no, they
how
have
big do you think, how massive do you think of an area has the oil spill?
already spread to Western Visayas. Tapos Marinduque is nearby. Romblon is nearby. Batangas should be alarmed already because it's already showing signs of the oil spill. Some of my diver friends came from Caban, which is an area that gets all the trash during a certain season of the year. And there was signs of oil spills there already. And then underwater, that they could see that there are also signs of oil spill affecting the coral reefs. Kasi this is the hard part about it sinking that deep, no? Kasi kunwari, if it's shallower, then probably the heat could take care of it. But no, because it went down for 100 meters, it's hard to control. The chemicals released into the marine environment can accumulate in organisms starting from the smallest, like I said, the phyto and the zooplankton, up to the bigger predators. So it climbs up to the food web, then it, of course, eventually affects us, not only through our health, but through also the livelihood of the people who live around Western Visayas, Marinduque, Romblon, Batangas. It's spreading. So it's really alarming. I think nga if I were the government officials of Mindoro and Batangas, I would be alarmed. I would be very concerned. Kasi the quality of water, what water will they drink? What water will they use for their homes? They're not only talking about salt water here. It will really affect the rivers because all of the seas, the oceans, the rivers, the lakes are all interconnected. It's going to affect everything, even the cave networks. We have underwater cave networks there in Batangas and in Mindoro. They will be affected.
So hundreds reported issues of reported sickness from the pungent smell of fuel, and then you mentioned earlier that fishes who eats the plankton or who are affected by the oil spill, it could be very dangerous to when ingested. So what other effects does the spill have on humans in terms of health? Like for example, although nagtataas na rin yung presyo ng isda ngayon, but what could possibly happen if someone ingests a fish that was affected by the oil spill?
They can get, they can get, well, the most immediate effects could be a headache. They start vomiting, they have dizziness, but it's also cancer causing. So if they keep on ingesting that, drinking the water that's uh, polluted by the oil spill, eating food that's polluted by the oil spill, the long-term effects is immeasurable. I keep saying that, but yeah, pollution kasi really causes a lot of sickness in us. So, but with the oil spill, immediate yan paminsan. Karamihan, di ba, during the time when it really came out, there were so many people reporting that they couldn't stand the smell. People were passing out, vomiting, having headaches. And what more if they eat it? So it's urgent. If this situation is urgent. As of now, not only that, not only through health, but through livelihood, diba we make billions out of fisher folks eh. A fisherman makes about, let's say, 1,000 pesos a day. Hindi na niya magagawa yun. So they're looking for other forms of livelihood. Many of the people of Pola have already left to go to other areas to find work na lang in construction or farming again, which is also diminishing. So, mahirap talaga sa kabuhayan ng mga tao. They've already reported noong April, I think, was April, yes, April, about fisher, fish, more than 200 million of livelihood from fishing has been lost already. So that's only from February to April. We don't know how far it's going and how far it's getting affected. And I'm sure it's going to get bigger.
So we've talked about the effects of the oil spill to marine biodiversity as well as its effects on people when we consumed seafood. So let's talk about rehabilitation. I know Haribon Foundation is one of the leading nature conservation organization, and advancing sustainable solutions. So what do you think can we do now that the oil spill has happened and we couldn't stop it from spreading? So how can we rehabilitate those areas that were affected?
To rehabilitate the areas, we must prioritize environment and nature in the decisions that we make, especially as a nation, considering the Philippines is really the center of the center of biodiversity. The health of our ecosystem affects the neighboring countries probably as far as China. Okay. malaki yung impact natin. The thing is, we are very insufficient. This If this oil spill taught us something, the insufficiency is very apparent, caused by a lack of preparedness, caused by a lack of foresight. We don't have the technology to clean up the oil spill. In fact, Japan had to come in and help us. And the better question asked siguro is what government should do to prevent from disasters like this happening in biodiversity areas. Kasi that's an oil tanker. It shouldn't actually be passing through the Verde Island passage at all. It shouldn't be there because in case of accidents like this, it's happened. There was another wreck that happened 2 years ago because of Typhoon Odette, and it also caused a lot of damage to the marine sanctuaries around in Batangas. So the government should rethink about the ways, the passaging of the tankers to keep them away from critical habitats.
So I like what you said there, no? The government as well as the Philippine Coast Guard or the Maritime Authority, they have to figure out, arrange the routes of these ships, especially industrial ships and cargo ships, to keep them from passing through marine ecosystems, valuable marine ecosystems. So aside from that, what are the simple steps can the government do aside from, so we've already contained the oil spill? Is there anything we can do to perhaps try to mitigate the effects of the oil spill on marine biodiversity? What other
Right
ways?
now, just really, we need the help from other countries to clean up this oil spill. Like in other countries, they gathered hair from salons, human hair, because they spread it out because human hair will supposedly absorb this oil. No? But we need help from other countries because they have the technology and the capacity to do the cleanup. As of now, they have to really for the Philippine government is we have to invest in modern equipment to respond to an urgency like this. uh, they need to study how to prevent this from happening again. And also probably who checks these tankers for safety? Who checks the quality of the equipment in these tankers? They have to look into corruption in the shipping industry because that's most likely happening na pinapapasa na lang ng mga tao na sige, okay na yan, pwede na yan, konting lagay. 'Di ba? So we need to be more vigilant in how we allow these equipment or these big vehicles to cross these critical biodiversity areas. And like I said, just ban them all throughout. Don't let them pass there. Don't let them pass through Apo. Don't let them pass through Tanyon. Don't let them pass through VIP. Do not let them pass through Tubataha even. That's a drain. But the government has a lot to look into so that this will be avoided. And they should also look into putting more value in projects that will help the health of the ecosystem. Like I was telling you, Ezra, we were thinking about proposing for another project for Pola where we would be rehabilitating the mangrove area. Kasi we planted trees there before, native trees. And the mangroves are essential in keeping the water clean. If there is something that really filters water, it's the trees. People don't realize that. But when the trees gather the water from the clouds for precipitation, it goes down into the ground. When it goes down into the ground, because I've seen this myself when we would be cave diving, you could see that water is dripping from the roots of the trees. And when they test the quality of the water from those areas, it's very, very good. We could drink it. But here, what's happening right now, they just tested it again. From what I've heard, they just tested it again. And the quality of the water in Mindoro, in Puerto Galera, is not swimmable. You cannot even swim in it right now, supposedly. So I would take a lesson from what happened here And so that sana si ating presidente will really look into how to create more value for our ecosystems. I think Secretary Tony Loizaga, who is, I have so much faith in, she is a scientist of DNR. She is looking into this and she's also cleaning up siguro the ecosystem of the DNR. And I'm looking forward to the programs that she will put forward so that we have we have value in our environment and also encourage businesses to keep the environment as a priority in making decisions with regards to their projects.
Haribon Foundation COO Anna Varona, thank you so much for your insights.